Well, welcome back to Wintons in France. To my right hand side very quickly is a different big ginger this time. It's not Ethan, we've got Mr. Pierce. Say hello.
How you doing, people?
How you doing, people? But yeah, we're down here, down at Rowley's Awesome Lake in France. We're not going to go mad into detail about what we're up to here because we're going to let that obviously unfold. But yet again, I've paired up with Darren this time. Last time you joined us at Wintons, it was a cold weather session. What this week holds for us is certainly not cold, is it, mate?
No, it's red hot this week. Temperature set to be 40 degree plus. So hard work for us fat lads
to get on with. But yeah, we're in hoodies because it is coming into evening. We got here, obviously, like you do, get here in the afternoon, spend hours divvying around, catching up with Rowley. But we've done a peg draw. We're in the lawns, which is where me and Ethan were last time. There are fish down here, so what we're going to do now is get the rods out as quick as we can and hopefully enjoy the rest of the film.
Well, that didn't take long. The long journey down to Wintons in France. Rods have been out an hour. Beautiful 32.5 pound mirror. Fish were showing all over us, and to be honest, it was more when it was going to happen. Squid and plum pop up doing the damage as usual, one of my favourites. As we were sorting this fish out, John unfortunately lost one. So hopefully the trip carries on this way and we end up with some more of these crackers.
Well, good morning, and what a start to the morning it's been. This mid-30, dark, cool, typical Wintons brute. Absolute buzzer. Funnily enough, off a left-hand rod, which, to be honest, late last night when we were trying to get the rods out, turned out to be more or less a pub chuck off the island onto a bit of bait. But there is a bit of a story to tell just after this one, unfortunately. Well, not unfortunately, we had another bite on the bush rod. Darren's turn, obviously, picked the rod up, played it in, landed another mid-30. But when we gone to pop it into the retainer only 10 minutes ago, I've forgotten to do up the retainer for him and it's kicked out. My fault completely, but yeah, it was another cool one. So fortunately we won't get to see that one, and forever I will be ridiculed. But what a start to the morning, 2 mid-30s, and the sun is just coming over the Yardarn, and it looks like it could be another good day. Wintons producing the goods. Happy days.
I know what you need, I would bleed for you, but you're taking somebody home. I know I need to move on, I need to be strong, but I don't wanna go home alone, no, no, no. No, I don't wanna go home alone. No, I don't wanna go
So there's fish number 3 for me. You didn't get to see number 2, as John explained earlier. He let that one go for me. Nice little 28 pounder. It's been tough going really, sort of the sun come up, it's gone a bit warm, died a little bit, and then this bite was out of the blue. But always happy to catch a nice carp from Wintons in France. Hopefully we can catch a few more this evening. Keep it coming.
Well, good evening. And to be quite honest, by our own admission, we've been pretty useless at the moment, and that's because we've been working super hard. And it sounds like a genuine excuse to be away from the camera, really, and it is. Darren's worked his socks off as he always does. You know, I've done 2 trips back to back now with Dar in France, and he does graft, and I've actually done a bit of work as well. Just been for tea. Nice Sunday roast, as is sort of tradition on a Sunday wherever you go fishing at a food inclusive package. But yeah, the rods are back out and we've moved the spots, or I shouldn't say we've sort of repositioned as such, and all that means is moving sort of 10 yards left or right and going into slightly different depths. What we have found is nearly all our bites have come between sort of the low ends of the 7s to the high ends of the 8 foot in depth, and you know, we've got a huge variance of depth in front of us in the lawns, anything down to sort of 13 all the way up to 3 foot in the bar right in the middle of the lake. But nearly all of our bites have come between sort of 7 and 8 foot, so we've really capitalised now and juggled some rods. Dar's sort of put 2 on a spot that's been quite productive, allowing me to come further along the tree line on one of the other rods. And this is the beauty of rod sharing, and I harp on about it a lot now when you see these videos about rod sharing. We're working together to catch fish together, and it means that we capitalise on what is in front of us. So yes, the night is still very young, and as I said, from this time yesterday the fish went absolutely wild, so we're hoping that will be the same tonight, and hopefully we will be holding up a few more Wintons chunks in front of you. But I apologise, or we apologise, for essentially being pretty useless keeping you up to date, but we will continue to endeavour to keep you up to date on all that is going on our week here at Wintons. Well, what a colossal beast. 44 pounds of awesome Wintons mirror. Big thanks to Dar. He was straight on the rod. I was divvying around in the bivvies, pulled out the snag, and yeah, he's been kind enough to hand the rod over to me. So some people say, well, it's not your fish, you didn't hit it. And you can say all you like. We're rod sharing, we're taking turns, we're working as a team. And he was on that rod for 2 turns, couple of turns where he'll get out that snag for me quick. And yeah, blown away really. It's an absolute unit of a fish. And yet again, we're not even 24 hours into the trip. We've had a great trip so far. Big shout to Dan behind the lens. I know he'll be coy, but we've put the work in and he's really pushed it for us as well. These spots are alight. We're getting bites in the day. We've had bites in the sort of afternoon, evening. Yeah, absolutely buzzing. What a chunk. Well, good morning. It always seems to be hello, good morning, and that's because literally we're setting up the bite cam, getting ready, and the rods are ripping off, and because of the severity of the bars and the areas we're fishing in, we're just having to haul them in, and it is a teamwork effort. But this one, about half an hour, as I say, we've had to sort of shelter from the sun already this morning. It's just gone 8 o'clock and it's already over 35 degrees. Yesterday, so me and Dan skipped the rod in all day. It's over 42 degrees yesterday. It was just too much, to be honest, and we didn't feel that we'd have a chance. Rest of the swims, down went round, baited up all our areas, spread the bait yesterday, as opposed to dropping it just from the boat, spread it all across the margins, let them have a free feed for the sort of, well, the whole day. Got the rods out just on dark, and it taken till this morning for one to rip off. This 37 pound, proper long, old character, his mouth is unreal, genuinely a mouth you could get your fist in. So they're really getting on now, the ultra nut mix, pellet, the maize, and little yellow pop-ups are tripping them up. Blown away by this one, really old character. Cannot wait for the rest of the day. Awesome.
So no longer than 5 minutes after John slipped back that 37 pounder. Rod was away again. It's a cracking old beast, 39 pound. Gave me the merry dance. We've got a nice shallow bar in front of us. You have to try and manoeuvre them through it. And this one managed to slip the net under it. Over the moon with this. Biggest of the trip so far for me. Another Wintons France cracker. So that's the end of day 4. Just back from dinner, halfway through the holiday now. Fishing's going well. This morning, say a few more bites. We baited up again before we went for dinner. Rods are back out on the spot, so hopefully we can nick a few. Nights haven't been really productive so far. We've had 1 or 2, but the morning seems to be the hot time. So we just say keep plodding through. Hopefully nab one of those big ones.
Just at Wintons on a CR media social. The boys been carving it up over the other side in the snags. Managed to plug away at a few spots, and one came through last night off the island. 42.6. Taking on a Match the Hatch Ultranet pop-up on a Ronnie rig. Great result. Hopefully we can get some more before Saturday.
So as promised, show you the rigs we've been using. This has been the rig of choice. It's basically my version of a Ronnie rig. A few slight changes. I use a braided boom. I just like, it gives me more movement. I noticed through the winter months and sort of early spring, fish were getting away with it with the stiff booms. So I had a little trial, changed over to the supple boom, and I found it was just picking up bites on hard days. Then moving up to the hook, it's a size 4 PB curve, which is a Ronnie swivel. I use a braided D section, which is not actually used as a slip D. Everyone goes on about the slip D. It's not used for that. It's basically used to hold my bait in position where I want it. Anti-tangle sleeve obviously just kicks it away. The hook bait of choice has been the CR baits. They're not actually squid and plum pop-ups in there. They're choco malt, doused in the spritz, which I've just done really well with. Obviously they do the orange, but I find sort of summer the carp are a bit more wise. I just like to use the dull white, and it's been devastating. And there's proof in the pudding. The rigs I've just been through, doing the job again. The baiting approach, which John spoke about. A cracking little 31-pound mirror. Stunning looking fish. Hopefully we can catch some more.
And there we are, as Darren said, everything's all coming to plan now. Just over halfway into the week and we really have notched up some fish. Some of them unfortunately we haven't seen because it has been banging and tagging it sometimes. But the bait's on form, the rig's working, and that little move of swim, only one swim down, fishing exactly the same holes, but giving us more angle on those fish. I think that line there really has tripped up some of the better fish. 37 pounds of withered finned warrior from Wintons. Absolute banger. Right, slip it back and on with the show. Right, well, it's the standard time where we talk a little bit about bait, and obviously I've been here before. I knew what was going to kind of work, but the last time we were here, it was in the depths of a late autumn, early winter, and the fish weren't particularly on it as such, so we went a little bit milder, and myself and Darren have, I think the term is, give it 'em, really. When we first got here, speaking to Rowley, he was like, same drill, John, give him a bit at the start, and then just top up as you go. Now, with Darren's style of match angling and, you know, numbers fishing, it has been about bait, and I certainly think that's worked. Going round to the back of the areas and flicking bait over the trees to spread a big pile of bait in sort of every day, every other day, and certainly resting the swim has worked as well. But it's about getting that big bed of bait down, and then every time you cast out, just putting a little bit more bait over the top of it. So the mix essentially has been a load of ultra nut, and because Darren loves it, a little bit of the old CR2, load of the fishery pellet, maize, and then just absolutely saturated in liquid. We've got amino C3 in there, we've got nut mino, we've got a little bit of glug. It's all about attraction. When we're fishing tight up to these snaggy areas, we want to get those fish homed in on an area that we're trying to catch them from. We don't want them sat in the snags out the way hiding. We want them to get on that baited area that we're fishing. So that's our sort of pre-mix, if you like. That's what we're hammering through the trees when Darren goes over the other side, or what we're putting over before we get onto the rigs. And then we've got sort of a one spod mix, if you like, which is just wet down pellets with a little bit more liquid in it and a little bit of maize and corn again. And the idea of that is you put that dead over your hook bait when you're fishing for them. So that big mix spreads across the whole sort of area, and then that homing in spot, that tight spot where your rig is that dull sort of pellet mix. And I certainly think it's worked. You know, there's not a lot more can be said about it. You know, we've rested the swim in the daytimes really. With those temperatures at the start of the week of over 40 degrees, it would have been a waste of time, we think, to try and put rods in there. But by feeding them, allowing them to feed, and then literally just putting the rods out with one little bit of bait over the top of them, certainly has paid dividends. I say we're a couple of days in now, obviously. I dread to think how many fish we've caught, you know, up to 44 pounds, and long may it continue. But with regards bait in France, give them a bit at the start, get them on you, and then just top up as you go.
Well, that was out of the blue. There's been a few fish showing over the spot. We was expecting it to go, I'd probably say half hour, 40 minutes ago, to be fair. We're sort of giving up hope. All went a bit quiet. And then out of the blue, middle rod zipped off. Bit hairy to start with, nearly got me around the snags out of the hole where we're fishing. But so far, she's coming through. Well, another nice upper 20, cracking little character. Not the biggest in the lake, but when they look like this, they've all got a bit of character. I've Sim fish showing over the spot, fizzing. It was just sort of a matter of time. All died off, out of the blue. Off the rod went with this little cracking character. Rod's back out and it sounds like it's away now, so I've got to go. So while talking about that chunky little upper 20, put that rod back out, 5 minutes, it's gone again. It should be John's go on the rods, but he's had a couple of good ones now, so he's kindly let me try and nick one of the bigger ones, as I seem to get him being lumbered with all the babies of the lake, which is very nice of him. And hopefully this one could be a bit bigger. So he's away from the snags, he's out in front now, all safe, so concentrate on getting this one in, and hopefully we'll show you him in the net. Well, looks like I got curse of the small one. It's another banging looking fish, just not the size we're after. So we're going to get this unhooked, get the rod back out, and hopefully catch a bigger one.
Well, a flurry of 3 very fast fish. Up! Oh, and as Darren said, we swapped the rods over. He said, go on, you have the next one, mate. And this turned out to be a 30, so I don't know. The curse will lift in a second, and he'll be the one with the 50 pounder, I'm almost certain of it. Right, quick picture. Up! So quick pictures and slip this one back. Happy days.
Well, there we go. Final evening of the trip to Wintons. And finally I've managed to bag one of the better fish. 45 pound 10 of fat, chunky, gorgeous mirror carp. Can't get much better than that. Going into the last night, see if we can nick 1 or 2 more for the early pack down tomorrow morning. If we catch anything, you'll see us again. If not, we'll see you soon.
Well, as always, a great week comes to an end. And what a way to end, mate, yesterday for you.
Yeah, out the blue. Finally bagged one of the big ones. And yeah, what a way to finish, really.
But it's been an awesome week, as always, that we have down in Wintons. Big thanks to Rowley for putting up with our hijinks, essentially, and for creating something really special down here at Wintons in France. So all that remains to do is pack the last bits of kit away, get on the road for a long-ass drive home, and we'll catch you on the next adventure.